Good morning and welcome to this year's English Elocution competition, where the school houses will battle each other, not with swords, but with enunciation and expression. We're honored to have some very special judges with us this morning. Ms. Pallavi, could you please introduce Mr. Girish Kamani for us?
Thank you so much, Tamara. It is my privilege to introduce Girish Kamani. Girish and I crossed paths over 6 years ago as IB educators. His passion for theatre was palpable and his idealism enduring. Girish has been a practicing theatre actor, director, and playwright for over a decade and a half. He has been working with companies like Theatre Professionals and the Pomegranate Workshop as a freelance drama facilitator, using drama as a learning tool to impart both theatre and life skills. He also worked as an IB theatre arts facilitator and is an IB examiner for the same. Girish also runs his own theatre group, The Blind and the Elephant, which has staged acclaimed productions like Ripples, In Search of Darya Sagar, and most recently, Anandovari. Along with co-writer Akshat Nigam, Girish was awarded the prestigious Hindu Playwright Award in 2017 for his play In Search of Darya Sagar, that explores the angst of the diasporic Sindhi community. He's also the recipient of the British Council Charles Wallace Scholarship that allowed him to train at the London International School of Performing Arts. Girish has directed several theatre productions with both school and college students in Mumbai. His latest being a first ever Zoom adaptation of Sophocles' Antigone, which is set bang in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown. Additionally, Girish dons the hat of a corporate trainer. He has also worked intensively in the field of teacher training. His workshops are as introspective as they are experiential and work towards making the classroom a safe and joyful space. He presently serves as visiting faculty for the Drama School, Mumbai. Welcome, Girish. It's a pleasure to have you amidst us.
Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Thank you, Ms. Pallavi, for that lovely introduction. While we wait for Ms. Dash, perhaps we can hear Mr. Sandy's introduction of the dashing Ms. Dash Walter.
Good morning, everyone. Professor Ellen Dash Walter. I'm super excited today to introduce someone very special. Joining us today is a professor, a superwoman, and an amazing visionary. What's special about her is that she loves helping young minds just like you. Most recently directed Lynn Nottage's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Sweat at Genesius Theatre in Reading, Pennsylvania. She earned a BSA in theatre directing from Syracuse University, holds an MA in theatre from Villanova University, with a focus on directing, dramaturgy, and new play development, and acquired continuing education at Harvard University in nonprofit management. She worked on Broadway as assistant to director-producer Harold Prince, as assistant to director-librettist Alan J. Lerner, and as assistant to composer-producer Charles Strouse. Her other career highlights include guest conductor for the Tulsa Philharmonic Orchestra, music director, conductor at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and composer lyricist commissioned by the Public Theater in NYC with playwright Douglas Carter Bean for their opera Chantmarwer. In 2015, she returned to the US from living in India for 8 years, where she taught theater, speech, and film at international baccalaureate schools, including Kodaikanal International School and Singapore International School, Mumbai. While in India, she was also an avid coach for students participating in the Trinity College of London Speech and Drama exams. She currently serves as adjunct professor of theatre, film, and English at Reading Area Community College in Eastern Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, guide, and no, not a philosopher, but one of my party buddies, Professor Ellen Dash Walter. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's move on to those who don't need much introduction, our lovely Portage students. We'll be starting with grade 6 with Vivanshi representing Unity House. Vivanshi, the screen is all yours.
Good morning, my name is Vivanshi Saraki. I'm in grade 6. I'm in Unity House and I'm going to recite the poem When I'm Full of Silence by Jack Prelutsky. When I'm full of silence and no one else is near, the voice I keep inside of me is all I need to hear. I settle in my secret place, contented and alone, and think no other thoughts except thoughts that are my own. When I'm full of silence, I do not care to play, to run and jump and fuss about the way I do all day. The pictures painted in my mind are all I need to see. When I'm full of silence, when I'm truly me. Thank you.
Yes, you're on mute.
Thank you for pointing that out. We have Kabir from Peace House up next.
Are all the 3 judges there?
Yes, sir, all the judges are here. Ms. Ellen has just arrived. Good morning, Ms. Walters.
May I start, Mr. Moore?
Kabir, you may start if you're ready.
Greetings everyone. I am Kabirnirmal Jesse, representing grade 6 Peace House, and today I'm reciting a poem called How to Be a Kid by Sarah McDonald Hughes. But when I'm lying in my bed with One Direction and Little Mix and Rihanna and Taylor Swift looking down on me, I can't get comfy. It's like I don't fit like I used to. I am home, but somehow it doesn't feel right. And I can feel this sort of wriggling, squirmy feeling in my tummy. A kind of worry feeling that won't go away. It feels like a sort of worm. And I know I should be happy to be back home, but I wish I could creep down the corridor in my pajamas, knock on Taylor's door, jump in her bed, and whisper until Eon comes round and catches me. Taylor, I have known her 5 weeks and 1 day, and in that time, I have known every single thing about her. She's my best ever best friend. She's kind of glowy, as if someone has left a light on inside of her. As if she's magical. You can't help staring at her. See what she's gonna do next. The first time I met her, she actually read my mind. For real. So, okay, I'm walking down the TV room at Riverside. Eon is talking, telling me everyone's names. I'm not listening. I'm looking round and wondering how I can stay here without my mom and Joe. A green carpet with swirls on. A big screen TV with 2 boys fighting over the remote. They don't even look up. Eon goes over to sort them out. And I'm standing there feeling stupid on my own. And then I see her. She's sitting on the corner of the orange settee, dodging the kicks. Her face is all scrunched up, as if she wants to get off the settee, but won't let them win. And then she looks at me. She looks at me as if she can see through all my head. She can see all my brain and my insides and my thoughts and everything. And what I am thinking is, I can't live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kabir, for that spirited performance. Up next from Harmony, we have Prisha.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, judges. Good morning, teachers. And good morning, my friends. First of all, I'd like to say Happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers. My name is Prisha Murakya. I'm from grade 6 and I'm from Harmony House. I'm going to recite the poem Rain by Ruskin Bond. After weeks of heat and dust, how welcome is the rain. It washes the leaves, gives new life to grass, draws out the scent of the earth. It rattles on the roof, gurgles along the drainpipe, collects in a puddle in the middle of the lawn. The birds come to bathe. When the sun comes out, a lizard crawls up from a crack in a rock. Small brown lizard, basking in the sun. You too have your life to live, your race to run. At night we look through the branches of the cherry tree. The sky is rain-washed, star bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Prisha. And wrapping it up for grade 6 in Spirit House is Riddhi.
Good morning, Good morning, everyone. I am Priti Pahuja from grade 6 Spirit House, and I am reciting the poem To a Butterfly by William Wordsworth. I watch you now a full half hour, self-poised upon that yellow flower, and little butterfly indeed. I know not if you sleep or feed. How motionless, not frozen seas. More motionless, and then what joy awaits you in the breeze. Hath found you out among the trees, and called you forth again. This plot of orchard ground is ours. My trees they are, my sister's flowers. Come often to us, fear no wrong. Sit near us on the bough. We'll talk of sunshine and of song, from summer days when we were young. Sweet childish days that were as long as 20 days are now. Thank you.
Thank you, Riddhi. And that wraps up our grade 6 competitors. We'll now be moving on to grade 7, where we have Parth from Unity taking the lead. Parth?
Okay. Good morning to all teachers, judges, and my dear friends. I, Parth Manjrekar from grade 7, is going to recite a poem called Who by Charles Cosley. Who by Charles Cosley. Who is that child I see wandering down by the side of the quivering stream? Why does he seem not to hear, though I call to him? Where does he come from, and what is his name? Why do I see him at sunrise and sunset, taking in old-fashioned clothes the same track? Why, when he walks, does he cast not a shadow, though the sun rises and falls at his back? Why does the dust lie so thick on the hedgerow, by the great field where the horse pulls the plough? Why do I only see meadows where houses stand in a line by the riverside now? Why does he move like a wraith by the water, soft as the thistledown on the breeze bloom? When I draw near him so that I may hear him, why does he say that his name is my own? Thank you.
Thank you, Parth. From Peace House, we have Parv. Parv, are you ready to take the screen?
Good morning, everyone, judges, teachers, and my dear friends. My name is Parv, and today I'm going to recite the poem called The Emigre by Carol Romans. There once was a country I left as a child, but my memory of it is sunlight clear. For it seems I never saw in that November, which I'm told comes to my dear city. The worst news I receive of it cannot break. My original view is a bright-filled paperweight. It may be at war, it may be sick with tyrants, but I'm branded by an impression of sunlight. The wide streets of the city and the graceful slopes glow even more clearer as time rolls tanks, and the frontiers lie between us, close like waves, and the childhood vocabulary I carried here, like a hollow doll, opens and spills grammar. Soon I should have every colored molecule of it. It may by now be a lie, banned by the state, but I can't get off my tongue, it just tastes of sunlight. I have no passport, there's no way back at all, but my city comes to me in its own white plane, and lands as docile as paper. I comb its hair and love its shining eyes. My city takes me dancing through a city of walls. They accuse me of absence. They circle me. They accuse me of being dark in their free city. My city hides behind me. They mutter death, and my shadow falls as evidence of sunlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Parv, for that touching, sad but relatable poem. From Harmony House, up next, we have Yashika.
Tomorrow, could I please have just 10 seconds in between so that I can write? Just 10 seconds. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that would really help. I agree.
Yeah, it's a little quick. Okay, I'm ready.
Great. Yashika, are you ready to take the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Good morning, judges. Shall I start? Good morning, judges, teachers, and my dear friends. I am Yashika Kastia from Harmony, and I'm going to be reciting the poem My Life, My Voice, My Story by David and Hannah. The moon blackened at my birth, and long night's cry began. Pain became my bedfellow, and despair my song. God disappeared behind the clouds. I lost my star sign post to hope. Light found a chink to peep through when poems were read to my starved soul. Loneliness brought moments of repose, lines poured through my veins, and love glimmered on my tongue. Little birds became my inspiration. Left with my own silent melody, I painted notes of long forgotten tunes, trembling in my trapped heart. Light burst through my dark mouth, and myriad songs flew heavenwards. I was poised for flight. Thank you.
Thank you, Yashika. Very nice. Now we give the judges a few seconds to assess their competitor.
Thank you.
Kriti from Spirit House. Kriti, please get ready. You might want to unmute yourself, Kriti. Great.
Good morning, my name is Kriti Hingar, and today I'm going to recite a poem, We Refugees by Benjamin Zephaniah. I come from a musical place where they shoot me for my songs. My brother has been tortured by my brother in my land. I come from a beautiful place where they hate my shade of skin. They don't like the way I pray, and they ban free poetry. I come from a beautiful place where girls cannot go to school. There you are told what to believe, and even young boys must grow beards. I come from a great old forest. I think it is now a thing, and the people I once knew are not there now. We can all be refugees, nobody is safe. All it takes is a mad leader or no one to be faithful. We can all be refugees, we can all be told to go. We can be hated by someone for being someone. I come from a beautiful place where the valley floods each year, and each year the hurricane tells us that you must keep moving on. I come from an ancient place. All my family were born there, and I would like to go there, but I really want to live. I come from a sunny, sandy place where tourists go to darken their skin, and dealers like to sell guns there. I just can't tell you what's the price. I am told I have no country now. I am told I'm a lie. I am told that modern history books may forget my name. Thank you.
Thank you, Kriti. I'm sure that's a good reflection on the refugee crisis that happens across the world in different countries. That wraps up our contestants for grade 7. We will now be moving on to grade 8. And our first contestant is from Unity House. Natasha, if you're ready, please take the screen.
Rules ad decorum asked by Wilfred Owen. My name's Natasha. Bend double like old beggars under sacks. Knock-kneed, coughing like hags. We cursed to sludge. To learn haunting flares, we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas, quicker boys! An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone was still yelling, out and stumbling, floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes and tickling light, and under the sea, I saw him, in all my dreams before my helpless sight, guttering, choking, drowning. But if in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon, we flung him in, and watch his white eyes glittering in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling out from his short, corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as cut of vile, incurable swords on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not say with such high zest the old lie, dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. While we give our judges a few seconds to make their notes, could I ask Nantara from Peace House to please get ready and make sure you
Tamara, be a little louder.
Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Nantara from Peace House, are you ready to go?
Yes, miss. Good morning. My name is Nantara, and today I'm reciting the poem Mental Health by Yosa Daily Ward. If you're walking down an aisle with a dim fluorescent hue, by the tinned fish and canned beans, strip lighting above, cracked tiles beneath, with the realization that most things are futile, and have the sudden urge to end it all. Don't stop. Call a friend. Call your mother if you have one, and if you can stand home, and listen to her talk about the price of canned fish and tinned beans. See that just outside there are people lying streets that are emptier than your insides, skies darker than your own. Look for yourself, because it never helps to hear from anyone else. If you're one of those running around town like mad people, if you've been cooped up for far too long in a very high tower at a dangerously low state, plenty of TV channels, TV dinners, plenty of biscuits, chocolates, cakes, desserts, and plenty of wine, but no love for miles and miles. If you haven't got up for work today, if it has been afternoon for hours and the silence is keeping you awake, if only you remember how to draw your breath in and out like waves of thick tar cooling. If you're wishing it later, pulling the sun down with your prayers, leave the damn bed, wash the damn walls, crack open a window, even in the rain, even in the snow. Listen to the church bells outside. Know that however many times they chime is half the number of changes you need to make. Stop trying to die. Serve your time here. Do your time. When the blood in your body is ready to flow and your bones are heavy though hollow, if you've made it past 30, celebrate. If you haven't yet, rejoice. Know that there is a time coming in your life where the dirt settles and patterns form a picture. If you dream of the city but live in the country, miss the damn cows, sell the damn sheep. Know that they will be wishing you well, running over lush hills to be counted at the beginning of someone else's dream. See, they never held you back. It was you, only you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nantara. That was a very relatable piece from Peace House. Up next, from Harmony House, we have Sainil. Sainil, are you ready?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sainil Banerjee, and I represent Harmony House. But before I get to my poem, I would like to wish all the teachers in my school a very happy Teachers' Day. Thank you for all the knowledge and joy that you have given us. And now to begin with my poems. Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league, onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge with the guns, he said. Into the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew, someone had blundered. But dares not to make reply, dares not to reason why, dares but to do and die. Into the valley of death, rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they were back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the world charge they made, all the world wondered. Under the charge they made, under the Light Brigade, Noble 600. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sainil. If we weren't awake before this, we definitely are now with that transportation straight from our morning tables into battle. Up next.
Thank you. I have a question, Tamara, just 1 minute, because I had listed a different poem, Holding Hands. So that was definitely Sainil?
Yes, that was Sainil.
Because he did for the Light Brigade. I wanted to make sure I had the right student.
You have the right student. I think there's a mix-up with the pieces.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to be sure.
Thanks for clarifying. We'll give the judges a few seconds to write down their notes. In the meanwhile, Anshul from Spirit House, could you please get ready? And you may now begin.
Hello and good morning. My name is Anshul Yamal and today I will be reciting Checking Out Me History by John Agard. Before I begin, I would like to tell you a few things about the poem and the poet. So the poem was written by a Guyanese poet. So for those of you who don't know, Guyanese meaning a person who's from the Caribbean or the South American side of the world. And he talks about not being taught his own culture. Rather, he's being taught others' culture and other unimportant things like nursery rhymes. And I think that was a very important message. So that is why I had chosen this poem. Yes. Checking Out Me History by John Agard. Them tell me what them want to tell me. Bandage up me eye with me own history. Blind me to my own identity. Them tell me about 1066 and all that. Them tell me about Whittington and he cat. But to Saint Louis Vuitton, no, them never tell me about that. To saw a slave with vision, lit black Napoleon battalion and first black republic born. To saw the thorn to the French, to saw the beacon of the Haitian Revolution. Then tell me about the man who discovered the balloon and the cow who jumped over the moon. Then tell me how the dish that ran away with the spoon. But them never tell me about Nanny the Maroon. Nanny, seafar woman of mountain dream. 5 women struggled to hopeful stream to Freedom River. Them tell me about Lord Nelson and Waterloo. But them never tell me about Shaka the Great Zulu. Them tell me about Columbus and 1492. But what happened to the Caribs and the Arawaks too? Them tell me about Florence Nightingale and Sheila and how Robin Hood used to camp. Them tell me about old King Cole was a merry old soul. But them never tell me about Mary Seacole. From Jamaica, she traveled far to the Crimean War. She volunteered to go, even when the British said no. She still braved the Russian snow. A healing star among the wounded. A yellow sunrise to the dying. Them tell me what them want to tell me. But now I checking out my own history. I carving out my own identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul, for giving us some context in the piece and then doing a lovely recitation of the piece itself. That wraps up our competitors for grade 8. As the judges write down their final notes, we will be moving on to grade 9. And our first competitor is from Unity House. Anisha, could you please take the screen? And don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yes, miss. Should I begin?
Yes, please.
So, my name is Anisha Karak, and the poem I'll be reciting today is Hunting Snake by Judith Wright. Sun warmed in this late season's grace, under the autumn's gentlest sky, we walked and froze half through a pace. The great black snake went reeling by. Head down, tongue flickering on a trail, he quested through parting grass. Sun glazed his curves of diamond scale, and we lost breath to see him pass. What track he followed, what small clue fled living from his fierce intent. We scarcely thought, still as we stood, our eyes went with him as he went. Cold, dark, and splendid, he was gone into the grass that he displayed. We took a deeper breath of take, looked at each other, and went on. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. While the judges are writing down their notes, we have Rhea from Peace House up next. Rhea, are you ready?
Yes, miss. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rhea Gopinath, and I'm from Peace House. I'm in 9th grade. Today, I will be talking about the piece After Independence by May Subbaniyambe. Before I begin, I would like to say a few words about the piece. Old enough to know the past is only good for one thing, destroying the future. Guy and Kathleen grow their crops, raise their daughter, and pay their taxes. But Africa is changing, country by country. White farmers in Zimbabwe must now pay for history's crimes. After independence. Charles, it must be wonderful to be always convinced that you are on the side of good. It saddens me that you feel my actions are causing you pain. But I am not sorry for them, because my people's pain and your pain are not the same. That is the truth. You asked me to tell you about my father. My memories of my family are vague. I was young when we lost him. My mother, she never used to like to talk about my father, no matter how many times I asked her. The loss was always too raw. To find out about my father, I had to go into the village. I had to speak to strangers, to the men who worked with him, to the people who drank with him, to the people who stood beside him when he died. He was a peaceful man, not like many others where I grew up, but all they had was rage. We weren't just deprived of land, it was more systematic. There was harassment in a very systematic way. You think justice has died in this nation? Some of the men used to curse at the government people and spit at them, try and fight them without blows. Anything they could do to try and maintain some sense of dignity. But no, not my father. That never made any sense to my father. For him, no matter what the injustice, no matter what the slight, no matter what the indignity or how it made him feel, it was always better to be polite. He would shake his hand, he would stick out his hand and shake his oppressor's hand like this, just like this. And he would treat them as though they were family. He would say to them, I wish you well, my brother. That is the man your people took away from me. So do not talk to me of injustice from your position of privilege. I learned something from my father's short life, that the only way to achieve something is not to stand and take what is given to you, but to fight and fight for what you know to be right. I won't apologize or feel bad for using the law to fight instead of guns. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhea. I think we need a moment to process that, and so do the judges as they write down their assessment scores. While they are, may I ask Tejas from Harmony House to please get ready to perform? Tejas, you may now start.
Very good day to all of you. My name is Tejas Chakrabarti. I am from grade 9 and today I'm representing Harmony House. I will be presenting an extract from an essay titled Advice to Youth. Advice to Youth is an essay written by legendary author Mark Twain in 1882. The reader expects Twain to talk about life's lessons and goals, but the author uses witty humor and sarcasm to turn the expectation on its head. Being told I would be expected to talk here, I inquired what sort of talk I ought to make. They said it should be something suitable for the youth, something didactic, instructive, or something in the nature of good advice. Very well. There are a few things in my mind which I've often longed to say for the instruction of the young. For it's in one's tender early years that such things take best root and are most enduring and most valuable. First then, I will say to you, my young friends, and I say beseechingly, urgently, always obey your parents when they're present. This is the best policy in the long run, because if you don't, they will make you. Most parents think they know better than you do, and you can generally make more by humoring the superstition than you can by acting on your own better judgment. Be respectful to your superiors, if you have any, also to strangers, sometimes to others. If a person offends you and you're in doubt as to whether it was intentional or not, do not resort to extreme measures. Simply watch your chance and hit him with a brick. That will be sufficient. If you shall find that he had not intended any offense, come out frankly and confess yourself in the wrong when you struck him. Acknowledge it like a man and say that you didn't mean to. Yes, always avoid violence. In this age of charity and kindliness, the time has gone by for such things. Leave dynamite to the low and unrefined. Go to bed early and get up early. This is wise. Some authorities say get up with the sun, some say get up with one thing, others with another. But a lark is really the best thing to get up with. It gives you a splendid reputation with everybody to know that you get up with the lark. And if you get the right kind of lark and work at him right, you can easily train him to get up at 9:30. Every time. It's no trick at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tejas. Definitely got us all amused. While the judges write down their scores, can I ask Rhianna from Spirit House to please get ready? Don't forget to unmute yourself, Rhianna. Wonderful. You may now begin.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rhianna Miskita, and I'm going to be talking about How We Survive by Mark Rickaby. I actually dedicate this piece to my grandfather because I know how it feels to deal with loss and how important it is to keep happy memories close to you. If we are fortunate, we're given a warning. If not, there is only the sudden horror, the wrench of being torn apart, of being reminded that nothing is permanent, not even the ones we love, the ones our lives revolve around. Life is a fragile affair. We are all dancing on the edge of a precipice, a dizzying cliff so high we can't see the bottom. One by one, we lose those we love most into the dark ravine. So we must cherish them without reservation. Now, today, this minute, we will lose them or they will lose us someday. This is certain. There is no time for bickering. And their loss will leave a great pit in our hearts. A pit we struggle to avoid during the day and fall into at night. Some, unable to accept this loss, unable to determine the worth of life without them, jump into that black pit, spiritually or physically, hoping to find them there. And some survive. The shock, the denial, the horror, the bargaining, the bad and empty aching, the unanswered prayers, the sleepless nights, when their breath is crushed under the weight of silence. And all that it means. Somehow, some survive all that, and like a flower opening after a storm, they slowly begin to remember the one they lost in a different way. The laughter, the irrepressible spirit, the generous heart, the way their smile made them feel, the encouragement they gave, even as their own dreams were dying. And in time, they fill the pit with other memories, the only memories that really matter. We will still cry. We will always cry, but with loving reflection more than hopeless longing. And that is how we survive. That is how the story should end. That is how they would want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhianna. That was really touching, and I think a good message to us all to appreciate those we love while they're still alive and learn to grow in grief. That wraps up our grade 9 competitors. As the judges take a minute to write down their scores, for grade 10 and 11, please get ready. We are starting with Unity House, with Tanish representing the house.
Tamara, can you please give me a moment? Just give me a moment, please.
No.
Should I start?
Tanish, give us a moment, please. The judges need to wrap up their scores for grade 9.
Okay.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you. Yeah.
Tanish, you may now start.
Good morning, students and judges. My name is Tanish and I'm from grade 10. I'll be presenting the piece by Martin Luther King, the Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech. Civilization and violence are antithetical concepts. Negroes of the United States, following the people of India, have demonstrated that non-violence is non-sterile passivity, but a powerful moral force, which makes for social transformation. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace and thereby transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of brotherhood. If this is to be achieved, man must evolve for all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. The tortuous road which is led from Montgomery, Alabama to Oslo bears witness to this truth. This is the road over which millions of Negroes are traveling to find a new sense of dignity. I accept this award today with an abiding faith in America and an audacious faith in the future of mankind. I refuse to accept despair as the final response to the ambiguities of history. I refuse to accept the idea that man is more flotsam and jetsam in the river of life, unable to influence the unfolding events which surround him. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the unfolding events which surround him. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I refuse to accept the cynical notion that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway into the hell of thermonuclear destruction. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right temporarily defeated is stronger than evil triumph. I believe that even amid today's motor bus and whining bullets, there is still a hope for a brighter tomorrow. I believe that wounded justice lying prostrate on the blood-flowing streets of our nations can be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of all men. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, other men-centered can build up. I still believe that one day mankind will bow before the altars of God and be crowned triumph over the war and bloodshed that non-violent, redemptive goodwill will proclaim the rule of the land. And the lion and the lamb shall lie down together, and every man shall sit under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. I still believe that we shall overcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanish. I think this hunt for peace is ever relevant, especially in these times, and it is a human nature to keep hoping that we will one day achieve that. And I'm sure we will as we keep working with great students like you, pushing the future. As the judges write down their assessment scores, I'll ask Karina to start getting ready. And make sure that your microphone is unmuted. Thank you, Karina. So representing Peace House, Karina Rodriguez. Please take the screen.
Good morning, judges, teachers, and my dear friends. I'm Karina Rodriguez, and I'm from Peace House. He's saying a speech by John Pelker from Statesman about the Jewish and Palestinian conflict. From a limestone hill rising above Colindia refugee camp, you can see Jerusalem. I once watched a lone figure standing there in the rain, his son holding the tail of his long tattered coat. He extended his hand and didn't let go. I am Mohammed Hamze, street entertainer, he said in measured English. Over there I played many musical instruments. I sang in Arabic, English and Hebrew. And because I was rather poor, my very small son would chew gum while the monkey did his trick. One day, when we lost our country, we lost respect. One day, a rich Kuwaiti stopped his car in front of us. He shouted at my son, "Show me how a Palestinian picks up his food rations." So I made the monkey to appear to scavenge on the ground in the gutter, and my son scavenged with him. The Kuwaiti threw coins, and my son crawled on his knees to pick them up. This was not right. I was an artist, not a beggar. I'm not even a peasant now. How do you feel about all that? I asked. Do you expect me to feel hatred? What is that of Palestinian? I never hated the Jews and their Israel. Yes, I'm supposed to hate them now, or maybe pity them for their stupidity. They can't win, because we Palestinians are the Jews now. And like the Jews, we'll never allow them or the Arabs or you to forget. The youth will guarantee us that, and the youth after them. That was 40 years ago. And yet what Nelson Mandela has called the greatest moral issue of the age refuses to be buried in the dust. For every BBC voice that strains to equate occupy with occupied, thief with victim, for every swarm of email from the fanatics of Zion to those who invert the lies and describe the Israel state commitment to the destruction of Palestine. The truth is more powerful now than ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. That's definitely a lot to reflect on, especially given the current political holdings of Israel and Palestine. As the judges take a few seconds to write down their assessment scores, can I ask Harmony House representative Tripura to get ready?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll give them a few more seconds. I think we've rushed our judges enough throughout the day. Let them have a moment to breathe. You may now start.
Good
morning, everyone. I'm Tripura Chami from the Harmony House, and today I will be presenting an excerpt from Che Guevara's address to the United Nations delivered on the 11th of December, 1964. Guevara, an anti-imperialist, was emblematic of what Cuba aimed to be, a country of educated and eloquent individuals who could oppose Yankee monopoly. In his speech to the United Nations, Guevara argues that the US must be held responsible for their actions in Latin America. Those who kill their own children and discriminate daily against them because of the color of their skin. Those who let the murderers of blacks remain free, protecting them, and furthermore punishing the black population because they demand their legitimate rights as free men. How can those who do this consider themselves the guardians of freedom? We understand that today the Assembly is not in a position to ask for the explanations of these acts. It must be clearly established, however, that the government of the United States of America is not the champion of freedom, but rather the perpetrator of exploitation and oppression against the peoples of the world and against a large part of its own population. Cuba can speak with its head held high in this assembly and can demonstrate justice to the phrase by which it was baptized, the free territory of the Americas. And our example will bear fruit in this continent. This epic before us is going to be written by the hungry Indian masses, the peasants without land, the exploited workers. It is going to be written by the progressive masses, the honest and brilliant intellectuals who so greatly abound in our suffering Latin American lands. The struggles of masses and ideas, an epic that will be carried forward by our peoples, mistreated and scorned by imperialism, our people, unreckoned with until today, who are now beginning to shake off their slumber. Now, from one end of the continent to the other, they are signaling with clarity that the hour has come, the hour of their vindication. Now, this anonymous mass, this America of color, somber, a taciturn America, which all over the continent sings with the same sadness and disillusionment. Now, this mass is beginning to enter definitively into its own history. It is beginning to write it with its own blood, and it is ready to suffer and to die for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tripura. The grade 10s and 11s have really set the political tone, I must say. We'll give the judges a few seconds to write down their notes. In the meanwhile, Harshvardhan, are you ready?
Yes, miss.
Okay. We'll give them a few more seconds before we start. All right, and wrapping up our elocution for today from Spirit House, we have Harshvardhan. When you're ready, please begin.
Good morning. My name is Harshvardhan. First of all, thank you for patiently waiting and listening to it. Also,
Harsh, may I pause you right there? Is it possible to come closer to the microphone? We can barely hear you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Okay.
My name is Harshvardhan Goradia. First of all, thank you for waiting, patiently waiting and listening. And also, happy Teachers' Day to all my teachers. Today, I'm going to present a short extract from Hope, Despair and Memory by L.V. A recollection, the time after the war, the place, Paris, a young man struggles to readjust to life. His mother, his father, his small sister, all are gone. He is alone on the verge of despair, and yet he does not give up. On the contrary, he tries to find a place amongst the living. He acquires a new language. He makes a few friends, like himself, believe that the memory of evil will serve as a shield against evil. The memory of death will serve as a shield against death. This he must believe in order to go on, for he has just returned from a world in which God, betrayed by his creatures, covered his face in order not to see. Mankind, a jewel of his creation, succeeded in building an inverted Tower of Babel, reaching not towards heaven, but towards an anti-heaven, to create a parallel society with its own laws, principles, jailers and prisoners, princes and gods, a world in which the past no longer mattered, no longer meant anything. Stripped possessions, all human ties, served the prisoners, found themselves in a social and cultural void. Forget, they were told. Forget who you are. Forget where you came from. The only present mattered. But the present was just a blink of Lord's eye, for it was the Almighty himself who was the slaughterer. It was he who decided who would live and who would die, who would be rewarded and who would be punished. Night after night, seemingly endless processions vanished into the flame. Lightening up the sky, fear dominated the universe. Indeed, it was another universe. The very laws of nature had been transformed. Children looked like old men, and old men whimpered like children. Men and women from every corner of Europe were suddenly reduced to the same nameless and faceless creatures, all desperate for the same ration of soup or bread, all dreading to the same end. Even the silence was the same, for it resounded with the memory of those who had gone before. Life is this accursed universe was so unnatural, so distorted, that a new species had evolved, walking amongst the dead. I wondered if one was still alive. For us, forgetting was never an option. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Harsh. We've now heard from all our competitors, and what a wonderful job they've done. Displaying resilience through our current situation, I think all the performing students, and of course the teachers behind the performances, deserve some appreciation. A great big thank you to our judges as well, who have given us their time and expertise today. Speaking of which, I would request the judges to share a few of their comments and feedback with us.
Wow, I heard such beautiful work today. It's clear that you all worked really hard on memorizing and rehearsing and thinking about the pieces, because as I was listening, I had from every single one of you a sense of what the piece was about and what the author's purpose was. So that's key, I think, to elocution, understanding the author's purpose. And you all tuned into that beautifully. If I had to say one thing that I consistently saw that could be improved, and I used to teach this in drama class, don't fall off the cliff. You have a tendency, Tamara's smiling because she remembers when I said that, okay? You have a tendency at the end of a phrase or at the end of a sentence to have your voice go down like this. And then suddenly you get excited and then it falls off the cliff. And especially remember that the last moment of the piece is the most important, all right? So never fall off the cliff at the end of the poem or the speech, and take a breath before you say thank you. So there's nothing worse for the judges and the listeners and the audience than to go through your piece and I come to this big ending. Thank you. Okay? Give me a moment. Come to the ending and let it sit for a minute and then say thank you. But we need to breathe it in. Breathing is my other note. Please don't forget to breathe. We need to inhale and exhale. I made a number of notes on tempo and variety of you know, just a variety of what's the word I want to use? The range of your voice. So you have a high of your voice and you have a low of your voice. So the more of that sort of variety adds to your interpretation, and some of you did that so beautifully, and taking pauses and breaking up that ding 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 ding, okay? Because we're allowed to break that up for interpretive purposes. And I loved how some of you really took the time to build your piece. So you layered, I felt the layers of the poet, of the speechwriter, and that was beautiful. To understand the arc of the piece is the most difficult challenge of someone presenting a speech or a poem. So some of you completely tuned into the arc of the piece, and I really applaud that, because that's the most difficult thing to do, I think, when you're interpreting. I thought the enunciation overall was beautiful. I understood every word, so I was super applause on that. And yes, I just had a lovely time. And I agree with Tamara. There were some really important subjects that were brought up today. And so I thank you for the choices that you made. Really, really beautiful choices. And I want to take this time to thank Ms. Joshi, Mr. Dopashi, Sandy, for inviting me to do this, which is just so fun. You know, more like this. And Tamara, how nice to see you. And you are like the elocution queen. You're speaking so beautifully and guiding us through this. It was so nice. Thank you so much. And I will be quiet now.
I think your bias was showing through a little bit, Miss Dash. For context, she was my teacher in school. So as my 7th graders would say, she's your grand teacher. Thank you for that lovely feedback. Mr. Girish, would you like to add anything?
Thank you, of course, for really inviting me. I really, really enjoyed this. And I think Ellen has covered a lot of ground. To follow that now is a bit tough.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That's great, Ellen. Thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive sort of feedback that you gave. It was what was very interesting. I completely agree with Ellen in terms of the enunciation. Was really, it was very well articulated.
Thank you, Girish. I think you definitely had a valid point, especially with the internet nowadays. We have access to everything. What matters is your take on it and your understanding and connection. And hopefully that connection will connect us all. To wrap up our judges' comments, Mr. Kaiser, would you please take the screen? And please unmute your microphone.
Yeah. Thank you, judges Girish, Dash, for joining in and giving your valuable comments. I don't know whether, yeah. And I think, let me just start by also thanking all the teachers behind the scene for coaching them, all the English department, Masha for leading all this endeavor with Pallavi, Tamara. Thank you very much. All you guys, I must say I'm impressed. So this is really, really good. I saw a lot of variety of pieces. I'm not going to comment on what Girish and Dash has said. They've basically covered what I would have wanted to say. So I'm just here to just tell you that wonderful journey from last year. And yes, I clearly understand that you'll have really worked very, very hard on enunciation, and that came out very clearly. And enunciation in our judging is kind of divorced from interpretation and expression, which are intricately linked to each other. I think given that the hard work which you'll have done, the quality which you have tried to endeavor to reach, I think that's a journey. And that journey comes with a lot of maturity as you read, as you go up from grade 6, 7, 8, 9, you level up a greater maturity and understanding. So I think well done, all of you. Terrific. On a Teacher's Day, this could not have been a better gift to all of us for having said what you said. I saw a lot of great moments. I must say what I enjoyed first. I enjoyed that there was emotions, but there was one particular piece where there was emotions, but it was very restrained. It did not become melodramatic. And I think that's a great thing to do, where you restrain your emotion and, you know, you don't just give it, don't go overboard. I saw that as a good plus point. I also saw humor coming across very clearly, and how that humor is handled. I think that was wonderful. Which some pieces, some of the children down below who have shorter pieces, and shorter pieces means you have to make the impact faster than you would have when you are on a longer journey of a piece, right? So you had a little challenge over there, but clearly there was sparks of brilliance there too, all right? So I think that was great. There were moments of dramatic moments. I enjoyed some of the speeches which came in. I think that was great.